Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Derek Stewart from WGCS Live Radio, along with my kinfolk Isaiah. We're back on episode 11, Real Talk. This is WDCS Live. Tonight, we got into two major conversations shaking sports and culture. The first one, let's talk a little bit about, because I want to get Isaiah's take on this, is Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley, both GOATs. We talked about Charles Barkley last week. And they've had this little beef and riff for quite some time over some stuff Charles Barkley said, and they both had a falling out. But it looks like they're getting back together because the Brotherhood needs to stay strong. We need to stand strong. We need to get over these little small issues that could affect relationships, especially the way it did with Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley. So we got to start with history. Let's do that. Because if you don't understand the bond, you can't understand the breakup. Most of all, it's an off-court brotherhood, personal access to each other, trips together. And Barkley was one of the few that didn't feel intimidated by Jordan, like a lot of other people did. They weren't media friends. They had a real friendship, just like myself and Isaiah does. So Isaiah, let me ask you this first question about this relationship, because I kind of want to get into the context of how it unfolded to get to the point where it broke them both up back to the point where they are going to reconnect. Does greatness isolate you like it did with Jordan?
No, I was so disappointed in their relationship departure. I respect and admire both of them. And then, of course, is that friendship, that a bond that, that should be unbreakable. And the good thing about that bond and that breakup, it was between the two. It wasn't no he say, she said type of stuff. It was something that allegedly that Charles Barkley said about Michael Jordan. And he was just speaking his perspective on the fact that at that moment, Jordan had a basketball team before he sold his portion of the Hornets, I think it was. And he was a GM, and he wasn't having a whole lot of success at it, despite having success at so many other things that Jordan, he have such success at it. And he was going through his glitches just like anybody else in business will have their ups and downs and their highs and lows and this roller coaster type of issues when you are running something, or you're the head of something, or you're the president, or the owner. All those things always come into play, and sometimes they're not sustainable when you're smart. When you're smart, you know how to wiggle your way out of it. And ultimately, Jordan wiggled his way out of it because he's a smart, shrewd businessman, and people take Jordan lightly because they thought, oh, he just was a basketball player. He's just a jock. But in business, Jordan is kicking some serious ass. All you're going to do is go watch the racing now. He's into the motorsport thing, and he's kicking some severe ass. And go watch him. I mean, he's doing his thing, man. And you don't just stumble across billions of dollars unless you're smart. You could be an idiot and play basketball. Just look at how many people who had these massive contracts in basketball, and now they're homeless and they're broke and they're, on the brink of freaking it's just disastrous when you see people that play as long as some of these players play, and then ultimately they don't have anything to show for it. And Jordan just go from one thing to the next. He's got the Nike deal still happening. He's in the auto racing. He has all kind of humanitarian things he's doing in his hometown in Charlotte. And there's just so many other things that he's sticking his money into and standing behind things, man. And I respect him so much because of how he handled business. And a lot of folks was talking about, oh, he was divorced. Okay, divorces happen, but he got past that. He's in a beautiful relationship. He's got a set of twin daughters, and there's no sign of Jordan slowing down. And that's what it should be happening. He's got a lot of energy when it comes to business, and he's been doing such a good thing. And now for him to rekindle his relationship with Chuck, I think that's awesome, man. I really do think that's awesome, and I can't wait to see them together. Yeah.
You know what's perplexing to me is when you tell the truth and when you speak your mind like Chuck does, Charles Barkley, you speak your mind because you're speaking from a heart of you that you care about things that this person does in a good way. When you tell a friend something, and him and Michael Jordan considered each other close friends at the time, a lot of times a friend may take it the wrong way, just like everybody else. I mean, people you don't know would take it the wrong way. It depends on the way you deliver it. It depends on the angle that it's delivered from. And I think it was so unfortunate that they went through this type of thing because Chuck is only being Chuck. Charles Barkley speaks his mind. He doesn't hide anything. He has nothing to fear. He's not afraid to speak his mind. He's been that way since he was at Auburn University, as far back as I can remember. And for him to allegedly, at least reports back then, before the fallout, stated that he questioned some of the business venture, Michael Jordan's decision making in the business ventures that he was involved in, and that once ended their close relationship. And that's been years. I mean, this relationship has been on ice for years. This is not just
Somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 years, DC.
something yes.
It was a long time, man. I was pissed off with Jordan mainly, man, because Chuck said something because he had a job. He wasn't biased on it. He was telling the truth at the time, even though Jordan wiggled his way out of it. But at the time, it was truthful. Jordan, to me, is a guy who like I said before, he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. But it took time. It took time to even clean up the fact that he wasn't doing well at that time. And even when he played baseball, he went to the minor leagues and came back to the majors. And he always found a way to work it out. So that's the same thing he did then. But just at that time, he was going through something, and Chuck was not being a sugarcoat. He didn't sugarcoat it. So Jordan took offense to it because he thought that's my boy. He shouldn't come down so hard on him. But Chuck had a job to do, and Jordan should have understood that he had a job to do. Jordan already know how he was, but he's just, oh, man, you my boy. I thought you would do better than that. All F you, and hung up the phone on him, and they wasn't speaking sense. And Charles is not the kind of guy who's going to kiss his ass and go follow him around like a little puppy dog and say, oh, man, this is. He said, okay, well, when he may come around, if he come around, fine. If he don't, I just can't bite my tongue. So I'm so thrilled that these guys rekindled this relationship, man. I can't wait to see Jordan and him together because they used to play golf and all this type of stuff together. They did so many things together, man. They had that bond, that brotherhood, and that friendship that was unbreakable. And good thing that it broke up between the two. And I said that before. I'm glad it broke up between the two. Is not something somebody else done. So that trust issue can still go back together because he didn't let nobody else do it. I think they can parlay something bigger than it used to be. I mean, Jordan is gonna be him and Charles gonna be him, and they should be okay from now on. And I like it, man. I can't wait to see Jordan here because I'm going to the races. They have the race here probably next month, and hope to see him there. And I run into him. I'm gonna mention the thing about how thrilled I am to see those guys back together. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So here's how it got started. To give you a little bit of context behind what started the initial fallout was Barkley publicly criticized Jordan's ability to run his basketball franchise, which is Charlotte at the time. And it's actually the Charlotte Bobcats. And as Charles was working at TNT as an inside host for Inside the NBA, Barkley quoted and paraphrased, but accurate to his message, Jordan is not doing a good job as an NBA owner. He surrounds himself with yes men instead of people who will challenge him. And because of that, the team, the Charlotte Hornets, is struggling. They changed the name from the Charlotte Bobcats to the Charlotte Hornets. Now, the way Jordan took that was a slight. Jordan took it as a slight that, look, here's my best friend going national on national TV, criticizing me about a business venture that I made a decision with. One of Jordan's closest friends was Charles Barkley, a fellow Hall of Famer, someone with inside access to Jordan's mindset. And that's all really critical and very important, because most of these people like Jordan and even Barkley and most professional athletes and famous people, they don't allow you into their world like that. So the yes men comment was the biggest trigger, per some of the reports. Calling someone surrounded by yes men can imply to them as being poor leadership, bad judgment, weak decision making. How do you think Michael Jordan absorbed those things when he first heard them?
Well, I think he absorbed them as not knowing what he's doing, and that's the reason why he got offended about it. Because if he knew exactly where Charles was coming from when he said it, he wouldn't have took it that way, and he thought it way he's supposed to have his back. And that's what kiss asses and yes mans do. They don't call you out, and they won't tell you the things that you really, really need to hear when things aren't right. They kiss your ass, they let you slide, they let you fuck up, because they too afraid to tell you what's right and what's wrong. That's the wrong thing to have around you, man. I want somebody to tell me I'm going wrong when I'm going wrong. I want somebody to tell me you're doing a good job when I'm doing a good job, so I can make sure I sustain the way I'm going, because I don't want to divert from doing the right thing. So you take it the way it was because you just felt like that was the right thing that you were doing to yourself. You got a bunch of yes men around you. Their yes man is not gonna ever tell you what's right when they think it's gonna jeopardize their position. And that's ultimately what happened when you have a bunch of kiss asses around you. The worst thing you can have is a bunch of flunkies and kiss asses around you. Once you got that, you headed for disaster, because they're gonna let you go off a cliff because they too chicken shit to tell you what's going wrong. And that's worse. Yep.
So here's the real issue. This wasn't really about basketball. Basketball was just a tool that Michael Jordan, he ventured into after he left basketball as a player, as one of the best players in the history of the sport itself. It was about loyalty versus truth. And depending on the two, Charles Barkley is going to keep it real. Chuck's going to keep it real no matter what. He don't care whether he's talking to someone's famous. He don't care whether he's talking to someone in his smaller orbit that's not famous. He's going to keep it real. And that's the kind of friends you need, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm like you. Jordan may have taken it as a shock when he initially heard it, but let's just say, and I'm going to just make an example out of you and I. If you say something like that about me and it goes public and I find out, we would just discuss it as men and there wouldn't be any fallout, because I know you as a person and I know that you care about my well-being. And that's what I think possibly Jordan got blinded to at the time.
Yeah.
I think he was blinded to that through anger. And anger, once anger overtakes you, and you be like, man, this is my dog right here, man. He talking that shit about me. And now he want to still hang out and be my boy and be my friend and everything. But we ain't going to have it like that. He done said what he said, and I'm going to do what I do. And I'm separating. I don't want to be around people like that. However, I am just as happy as you are about these two guys deciding, because Chuck did say that, look, it's up to him. If he wants to sit down and talk it over and we discuss it, it can be done. And sure enough, that seemed to be what happened. Now, let me break down all of Michael Jordan's successful business ventures here. He co-owns 23-6 Racing NASCAR team with driver Denny Hamlin. They launched it in 2021. and is a co-founder of Sincoro Tequila as well, launched in 2019 alongside fellow NBA owners Jeannie Buss, Wes Eatons, Wick Grosbeck, who owns the Celtics, and Emilia Fazzari. And I hope I pronounced that right. All of Michael Jordan's business ventures has been successful, no matter how you try to shape it, form it, no matter what. The Charlotte Bobcats was not a winning organization when he decided to take over that team. And some of that might have to do with decision making on down. However, I'm not blaming Michael Jordan for the full blunt of that team's ability not to win when he took that team over at the time. And one thing is for sure, everything that he's touched has pretty much been gold since. And Michael Jordan is, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in the area of 3 billion or more in net worth. So whenever you have a situation like that and you're looking at successful companies and you currently have a successful organization, and brand like Michael Jordan does, I think over time may have mended that. Do you think so?
Of course, man. Yeah, folks got to understand the things that Michael Jordan did. I mean, if you look at so many other athletes that played at a high level like he did, you can mention Magic and Dumar and a lot of these other players that played in the NBA. But to become a billionaire so quick in one generation like he has, like Magic has, Michael is the epitome of greatness in every sense of the word because of how he conducts himself. The only thing that Magic has did more so with both of them had their issues off the court. Magic having AIDS and stuff like that, and then Jordan having an open divorce, and then his father getting killed. But both of them had to go through these same type of scrutinies and in these scandals. But to see both of these guys are doing well on such a beautiful platform with championships won outside of the sport that initiated their livelihood, because basketball did it with both. But look at Magic. Magic won championships in baseball as well as him personally being a basketball player. And then Jordan won as a guy who got into auto racing, and he's won a championship like that. And that goes to show you their smartness. These guys are shrewd. They're good businessmen, and they know how to do business. And I'm so happy to be living at this time to see this type of stuff, because now we can even speak to our grandkids and younger people about it, and look at, we're talking about it here on our radio show, how these guys did that, and people who can hear these things years from now can understand what it took and what it entails to be great like this, because you got to put in that work, man. DC, we talk about it. You have to put in that work, because one thing catapult you to the next. One thing catapult you to the next. And if you're not ready to take that other step in life, sometimes that's where you hit a roadblock or a dead end, when you have people that have all this enormous wealth in one thing, and then if you don't know how to harness your emotions of spending and party and having such a good time where you throw away all your assets, then you wind up running out of money. You got to be taught that. Even I remember when Charles Barkley was talking about how Dr. J told him, he said, man, how many cars you got? He said, I got around 7. He said, what are you doing with 7 cars? Now, to me, I don't think that can break you, but other stuff can. I don't think 7 cars going to break anybody. It was just the logic of knowing that you don't need certain things and you got to make whatever works for you. And I don't think he knew Barkley was going to get into the type of job that he has now as being a correspondent for TNT and now ESPN. I don't think he knew that far into his future, but a car can't break you unless you out there throwing money away on stupidity and Bugattis and stuff that's costing millions of dollars. I mean, you go get a regular Cadillac every other year or a Corvette. That's not getting ready to break you. You can have 10 of those, 20 of those. They're not getting ready to break you. But the other dumb stuff can break you, where you're taking care of family members, whole household, and buying them houses and girlfriends and all. That can break you. So getting back to Jordan and Barkley, man, I just love the story, DC. I cannot wait to see those guys together. It was so beautiful to see those guys out on the golf course together, shooting jabs at each other, smoking their cigars, enjoying the moment. And those memorable moments I love to see, because, you know, at that time, Tiger Woods was at his height and he was part of their clique until he started falling off the guardrails and literally
Yeah,
getting in trouble because they don't
absolutely.
do stupid stuff like that, man. So, yeah.
So I am too. It looks like after a 14-year spat, you were spot on. They're gonna schedule a golf game where they can get back together and try to mend the fence and try to, just move on from the fact that, what was said and what was done. Let bygones be bygones, and we can move forward. Now, one thing I will say about friendships in life in general, it would never be the same. I'm going to just be honest with you that there will be certain guardrails that both men put up, because it's never going to be the same. Once you break up and then get back together, it's still different, in my opinion. It's never going to be like it was the day before you broke up. It's the way I look at it.
2 years fine. But that span, you know, I'm just happy that they got back together. It's never, you can't count on it being the same. You got to think about it. They're 14 years older than they was when that happened. 10 years
Exactly.
older than when that happened.
Exactly.
So many things has changed, man. Charles Barkley, weight done fluctuated. He done changed jobs. He done got into so many other business ventures. And then, of course, you got Shaq is involved on the Shaq. Hasn't been on there for 14 years, I don't think, with them. But it's just so many things has changed on a day to day. Where, I mean, look at Charles Barkley's daughter has gotten married since then. I don't even think that Michael Jordan was married for 14 years. I don't think his daughters are 14 yet. So Barkley may have not even went to Michael Jordan's wedding. I don't know whether he was married for 14 years yet. I mean, he may have been dating his wife at the time, but I don't think they were been married for 14. I think Jordan's daughters are, well, maybe I might be wrong, because I think his daughter's about probably 12 or 10 or something like that. Could be. But anyway, there's a lot of things, and time has changed since then and passed by since then. Like, I'm just grateful that they are back together, man. And hopefully this thing can never happen again. Don't let it happen again.
And that goes for other celebrities as well. Take this as a learning experience and pay attention that if you have someone really close to you in life, you need to cherish that. You need to value that relationship, because Isaiah and I was talking about that yesterday, of how much we value each other's friendship over the time that we grew up from the age of 4 until we are at the age we are now. So if something is said, try to iron it out. Sometimes it might not be repairable, but in most cases, you might can try to smooth some of it out. Let's just say that.
Late night lights, city still moving. Baseline ride, got the whole room grooving. Real talk only, yeah, we still proving. Built this from the ground, now the whole world watching what we doing.